Coming up on show 597, Tesla's free advertising, the ID3's fiery Spanish cousin, and Rivian's subscription service. Those stories and many more coming up on today's podcast. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you're listening around the world, welcome to EV News Daily. My name is Martyn Lee, and welcome to the show for Tuesday, the 1st of October. Brand new month, first day of the month. I've been through every EV story that I can find today and picked out the ones I think you need to know about to save you time. Thank you as always to myev.com for helping make this show. I have indeed been out to MyEV headquarters. It's in sunny Miami, except when I went there, it tipped down with rain for the whole 3 days. However, it was great to meet the team and learn about what they're doing. And I think if you went, you'd be very impressed as well. If you're helping you buy and sell and learn about EVs in the USA, it's the first marketplace built solely to connect people in the EV world. Okay, let's kick off with some news about the Volkswagen ID3's fiery Spanish cousin. We are talking the Seat Elborn, and now it's been seen in new spy shots, according to Motor1.com. Always check them out for great spy shots. This has been seen on the road. Still absolutely plastered with camouflage. Why? When it was shown off at the Frankfurt Motor Show and we saw what it looked like, the ID3 was shown off, and so was the Seat Elborn. Kind of the same car. In fact, from the A-pillar backwards, very, very much the same car. It is built on the ID3's platform, the MEB platform. It hits the roads next year in 2020, same as the ID3, named after, I didn't realise this, a fashionable Barcelona neighbourhood. And if you saw any of the pictures of the videos from the motor show, it pretty much, you've seen what it looks like. So I don't know why they're still trooting around in a camouflage version of the car. Inside, looks very similar to the ID3. Spec-wise, it's identical to the ID3. 62 kilowatt-hour battery inside it for the first edition. 201 brake horsepower for the motor. 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds. 100 kilowatts DC fast charging. What else can I tell you? Well, it's the same specs as the ID3, but it's the Seat Elborn. Now, up until now, the Seat, the Spanish bit of VW, was always the slightly less well-known and a little bit cheaper brand, but they've been making noises with their Cupra brand, which is the performance bit of Seat, and Seat is the Spanish bit of VW, so follow the trail along. And I get the sense they're moving Seat a little more upmarket. They'll probably keep Skoda, or Skoda, as I should maybe say, because it's a Czech company. Skoda as the more affordable brand, but nothing too sexy about that. But I get the feeling they might just be pushing Seat a little more upmarket. But then again, you wouldn't want it to fight with the ID3 for people that want to buy a VW. It'd be very, very interesting to see where they do this, where they put this in the market, because I don't know if you can buy a Seat where you're listening to the podcast around the world. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's just in certain markets and not others. Pretty big brand here in this country. So we will watch that one, but ID3 will be first to the market next summer, and then I would think all of the different various sub-brands within VW will be allowed to start selling theirs. Now, talking about that, really interesting opinion piece in Auto Express that is entitled "Volkswagen is more concerned with the ID3 than the new Golf," penned by Mike Rutherford, very famous name in automotive journalism. He said, "This month's Frankfurt Motor Show intrigued and impressed me with its glorious gluts of unproven, comparatively expensive alternatively fueled cars." He's not coming across as the biggest EV fan in the world. "Their petrol and diesel-powered counterparts are supposed to decline before being wiped off the face of the earth, but as Frankfurt and elsewhere still prove, the death of tried and tested, affordable internal combustion cars remains decades away." Yeah, he's definitely not a fan of EVs, is he? "For the foreseeable future, such old-school beasts remain far more desirable and considerably cheaper to purchase than pure electric or hydrogen models of a similar size." And there he's putting battery electric cars and hydrogen cars in exactly the same sentence, in very close proximity. In fact, comparing them both to, lumping them together and comparing them to piston cars. So This is very interesting. Obviously, he's been around the automotive magazine industry for a very long time. He knows what he's writing about. He and I probably couldn't disagree more on this subject, though. He says, I wanted Volkswagen of Germany to officially launch its all-new German Golf at the German National Motor Show before it closed its doors. But it didn't. Trouble is, it refused. Inexplicably, the hugely significant Mark 8 Golf was ordered to stay away, says Mike. I don't think it's inexplicable at all. It's a sign that these big OEMs, with such disastrous reputations in the eyes of some people following Dieselgate, see the bigger picture. VW see the bigger picture. They need to reinvent themselves, even if they're going to carry on selling piston cars, because that's where they make all the margin. They've got to get a rep. They've got to get that reputation for electric, clean, green transport. Even if it's not true, they've got to be perceived as that. Otherwise, well, they won't be around in the many decades to come that Mike talks about. It's kind of interesting. I do agree with his point that EVs are more expensive, but not for much longer. Let's move on to Ford. Ford is approaching the EV market correctly with the Mach-E, says a new report. I found this on FordAuthority.com. Some people have accused Ford of being slow to roll out EVs and electrify their range. Ford said it has plans to offer an electrified version of every car in its line. Most of those will come from hybrids, though. They will have some full electrics, like the Mach-E and the Ford F-150 EV that have been touted and are coming. The Mach-E, rumoured base price $40,000. That is quite cheap, but anyone who's tried to buy a base car or even a standard range Tesla Model 3 will know they don't want you to buy the cheap one. They want you to buy the one that's a little more expensive. And so, I don't know what a typical electric Ford Mach-E based on the Mustang would go for. $45,000, $50,000 by the time you start to spec it up a little bit. Ford has said they're aiming for 300 miles per charge to lure away the Model 3 buyers. I'll pop a link to FordAuthority.com in the show notes. Well, the 2020 Renault Zoe is now going on sale around Europe. Sadly, not in this country just yet, but it will be. It will be. I reckon January the 1st, depending on a few other larger political issues that are surrounding our relationship with Europe at the moment. Some people saying that when the UK is no longer part of Europe, it won't suit car makers to sell cars here because of EU rules around emissions and having to hit targets, and other people have made a good case for them having to sell more cars actually in this country because of Brexit. So, it's split 50-50. Surprise, surprise, as the whole issue is. However, the Renault Zoe is going on sale in countries around Europe as we speak. Bigger infotainment display, 10-inch instrument cluster, 9.3-inch infotainment display, very much like a little mini Model 3, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, 100 kilowatts. Motor on that, faster charging, 52 kilowatt hour battery. I haven't seen the fully charged video if it's out yet. I heard on the Fully Charged podcast Robert Llewellyn talking about driving it, so go and have a look at those videos that are out there. Electrek have got a first drive. Bjorn Neeland's videos are always very good. And the thing about it as well, 22 kilowatt AC charging, which combined with DC fast charging as well at 50 kilowatts, is a pretty nice combo for a small city car. Moving on to Tesla, and when it comes to advertising, they don't need to. When things like this happen, they've been featured in a high-profile advertising slot in Norway, a TV show called The Farm, a very popular long-running reality TV series, says Simon at Teslarati, using several of Tesla's EVs to transport their contestants of the TV show. Made an appearance earlier in the week. I don't know whether this was done alongside Tesla's local PR office or whether they just hired the cars. I don't know. But when a TV show says, I need a fleet of cars, what should we use? I know. Let's use Teslas. Well, then it's just worth so much in free advertising. They didn't spend any money on ad spots because when TV networks want to feature your car, well, why would you? Moving on to an Auto Express article that firms up some more details about a EV charging scheme here in the UK and Nordic countries as well. A number of charging companies, 9 of them actually in total: Allego, EV Box, New Motion, Charge for Europe, ChargeMap, ChargePoint, Engenie, Franklin and Travelcard are joining together, not merging, but forming a scheme to allow drivers to pay for their services with one single subscription. With the app, you can see which charge points are free, how much it costs to charge at each one. And we mentioned this before with New Motion, part of the Shell Group, saying that EV drivers need various membership, subscriptions and payment cards. At the moment, with various networks, it's inconsistent. A more joined-up, consumer-friendly system with a single subscription service, they say, is the way forward. A single account, single reimbursement, and if you're a fleet or an owner of EVs, then that makes life easier for you as well. Of course, the easiest thing is just to turn up and just plug your car in and it starts charging. Well, a company that doesn't have to worry about plugging in their cars too much yet. Toyota took another step in its strategy of building an automotive alliance. They deepened their partnership with Subaru, which is, of course, much smaller. I mean, every car company is smaller than Toyota. Toyota's been working with Subaru on various projects. They have a stake in the company as well. They've increased their share through a new agreement, and this is all about sharing technology for the future, and whether that is on soft hybrids or plug-in hybrids hasn't been made clear yet. Toyota might well swallow up Mazda, Suzuki, Yamaha, and eventually Subaru, and do what VW have done, really. One platform for electric vehicles, one platform, and then roll it out to all of those brands. They're going to have to. All of the world's cars are going to all electric. I mean, Toyota can put their fingers in their ears all they need to. But like the dinosaurs that didn't spot the asteroid coming, otherwise they'll become extinct. And I'm sure they won't. There's too many smart people working at Toyota for that to happen. So for now, they don't like to plug in. But they will have to soon. Rivian is next. And an article on Digital Trends today say that they're going to go the subscription route for electric trucks. Did you know this? I've read so much about Rivian, but I can't recall ever reading about them doing subscription. But now I say it out loud, maybe I have. Rivian's developing the high-end electric pickups and SUVs, the R1S, the R1T, speaking at the headquarters of Cox Automotive. And there's been some investments have been in Rivian. So big. Cox, who else? Ford, Amazon. Big investments. The Rivian CEO, RJ Scaringe, said the startup will not use conventional dealerships. They've always planned to sell cars directly to the customers, according to Automotive News. The same approach used by Tesla, going direct with galleries and showrooms and not doing dealerships. However, RJ did say, and I quote, "You may use one solution to get to and from the office during the week, but on the weekend you may want a subscription program," end quotes. So maybe subscription services will be on the cards for Rivian. I certainly, with the younger people, I sound like an old man now, but the graduates that I work with, the early 20-somethings, that would appeal to them. They rent their TV from Netflix and Amazon. They rent their music from Spotify and their Apple Music. Everything is as a service for them. They don't own cars, but they use Uber and they use transport as a service. So they don't really own anything. There's a generation of people that just are growing up with subscription services. They don't own software. They don't know what it's like to go to the shop and buy a game on a DVD. Shock horror. I remember going to buy games on cassettes and putting it in the cassette drive of my Amstrad CPC 464 or my Commodore 64 or even a Spectrum. Physical media gone away. So they're used to subscriptions. I think that could be very popular with certain ages. Right, we'll finish off with an article about car scoops. Jaguar Land Rover's engineering boss suggests that large SUVs don't make sense for electric cars. Jaguar Land Rover is embracing electrification. Jaguar already has the I-Pace, working on an electric XJ as well. But speaking to Auto News Europe, Jaguar Land Rover's engineering boss said this, and I quote, "The larger the vehicle, the larger the aero challenge. If you're not careful, you end up with such big batteries. You make the vehicle so heavy as that you race down the Autobahn and the range disappears," end quote. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's a challenge to make an SUV that is electric. But see e-tron. See the Model X, see the EQC, see the Bollinger, see the Rivian. I mean, heck, see their own I-Pace. Yes, it's hard. Not pretending that this is going to be super easy and a walk in the park. But look, it's being done. Despite those issues, the same person did bill hydrogen as fantastic. Jaguar Land Rover's boss also suggested, the engineering boss, suggested that fuel cell vehicles will offer quick fill-ups that aren't dissimilar from topping up your tank with petrol or diesel. I'm really impressed with Jaguar's I-Pace, but I'm not impressed with what Nick Rogers is saying there. I've never met Nick. I'm sure he's a lovely guy, and it'd be great to have a conversation with someone who's a bit of a super brain like him in engineering and chew through the debate between EVs and hydrogen vehicles. I'm sure he'd run rings around me, but I disagree with what he's saying there. All right, on to question of the week this week, and let's get your answers to this one. So, what have you named your electric car? Question of the week, thanks to myev.com. Have you named your car? I've never named a car. If you own a Tesla, you have to give it a name. What is yours? Please tell me. You can email hello@evnewsdaily.com. Leave a comment on YouTube and Facebook, and we'll read them out on Sunday's show. Thank you to 254 patrons of the podcast. You keep me going. If you want to check out what it's all about, see what the fuss is about, patreon.com/evnewsdaily. Have a new patron to thank tomorrow on the show. There are 500. It's not compulsory. It's entirely optional. I will make the show whatever. I did before Patreon. And I will do whatever I can do. 596 previous shows online for free. Get the new ones by being a subscriber. You can catch the show, if you don't already, on YouTube. If ever you need to listen to the audio only on YouTube, I do upload the audio there. About 1,000 people a day do go and listen to it on YouTube. It's a thing, apparently, listening to podcasts on a video platform. But there we go. I reckon once or twice, twice a week, I get a comment saying, "Oh, can you make videos rather than podcasts?" You have no idea how much harder it is to make a video compared to audio only. I mean, look, I make this show really late at night, and that's after a pretty long day most days. I wouldn't be sleeping. Anyway, if you want to catch up on the socials, search EV News Daily. Have a wonderful day. Catch you tomorrow. Remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.